Well, I think there's three things to consider. The first is that investors and speculators who are new to the precious metal space need to know that historically in a precious metals bull market, which I think we're in, that gold moves before silver does. The investment decision is stimulated by fear, and gold is the asset that people go to when they're afraid. When the momentum is established by gold and when the narrative comes to be established by gold, silver, because of its lower unit price, moves further and faster. It is arguable that we're coming into the period where market leadership transitions from gold, which has had a nice move of late, to silver. That's what's happened in the three previous precious metals bull markets that I've enjoyed in my lifetime. You make the good point with regards to premium. And I think you make the point, too, that junk silver may be more of a survival asset than a speculative asset, which is to say, if the economy ever gets so bad that people are forced into a barter or a true cash economy, the small denomination that you receive with a bank of junk silver might be precisely what you need to exist in very bad economic times. And so people probably buy bags of junk silver almost as a survivalist asset rather than as an investment or speculation asset. And as you know, too, and you correctly stated, the premiums on bags of junk silver are very high. When people shop for junk silver, what they need to do is contact more than one dealer, because you find out that occasionally dealers will run specials on bags of junk silver to attract customers from their competitors. And these sales could really lower the acquisition cost of your acquisition dramatically. So it's important to shop around. It is also true that lower denomination silver investment instruments almost always have a higher premium on them. And American Eagle silver coins have very high premiums on them too. For investors who can afford bullion, the premiums on, say, kilo silver bars are much, much, much less than the premiums that you would see on 1 ounce product, 10 ounce product, or on junk silver. So how one decides to allocate their capital around the silver theme is very important. I've chosen myself, although I have a reasonable inventory of old US silver dollars, to hold most of my own silver inventory in larger denomination bullion products so that I obviate the premium that's paid on retail silver. Retail silver products appear to be in very high demand, irrespective of which dealer you talk to. And often it's possible, if you find the right dealer, to buy we should also define junk silver, which is to say general circulation, US currency, silver currency, minted pre-1964. Generally, if you don't buy a bag of mixed junk, but rather if you buy pre-64 silver dollars, the premium that you pay is lower. But that really depends dealer to dealer to dealer. What's the important part of this to remember is that you need to check with as many dealers as you're capable of checking with. I think there is a fair bit of that. I personally believe that that's probably an overreaction. I believe that your audience is sophisticated enough that they can read the statement of financial condition from a bank if they choose to do it, and they can keep cash on deposit in solvent banks. While I personally encourage gold and silver ownership for everyone, I also encourage keeping some liquidity in US dollars, but in solvent institutions, and not in institutions that don't pay you interest. What is that people nervous about the condition of their small bank have transferred their accounts from smaller banks, which traditionally pay decent interest rates, to very large banks, which traditionally don't pay interest. People are precipitating their very own private banking crisis. There are lots of solvent banks in the country which will pay you 4.25, 4.35. It's only when you go to the biggest institutions in the country, the JP Morgan Chases, the Wells Fargos, the Bank of Americas, that they propose to not pay you any interest at all, which is absolutely silly. I guess what I'm trying to say is everybody needs to use some common sense. You know, you own gold for protection, You own silver for speculation or real catastrophe insurance, but you owe it to yourself to have some cash because you may have a crisis yourself. You may have need for that cash. And as we've discussed before, having high cash balances during times when there's volatility in the system and where there may be a liquidity squeeze could give you the tools and could give you the courage to take advantage of the market rather than being taken advantage of by the market. So yes, I'm encouraging cash. Yes, I'm encouraging silver, very much. We are seeing constrained credit. Now, in truth, I believe that credit has been too freely available for 10 years. We went through a very benign economic time in the 1982 to 2002 time frame. And the consequence of that is that credit standards got lax. It was easy to put money out. It's a little tougher to get it back. And so you're seeing a tightening of credit standards simply because, as an example, you're seeing fewer people qualify for loans at higher interest rates. And you're beginning to see other forms of credit delinquency, people behind on their mortgage, people behind on installment debt, consumer debt. You're seeing credit card default rates increase. All of that, all of the circumstance where banks are experiencing more difficulty in getting paid back means that they are less likely to extend credit. But something else is happening too. And I think this is what Alistair was referring to, which is to say right now the banks are focused on repairing their own balance sheets. They need some money. The FDIC regards a bank with a 7% equity slice relative to total assets as being well capitalized. But one of the things that's happened is that the mark-to-market losses in their long-term lending portfolios and their loan portfolio and bond portfolios is such that the banks need to build up their own equity bases. And so rather than lending as extravagantly as they once did, the banks are keeping the money themselves, basically reducing their overall balance sheets, but reinforcing the equity component around the basic bank. So both of those things are true. For those people with good access to credit, credit is still broadly available in this market. But I think that you'll see the more marginal commercial credits become constrained. I think that you will see continued tightening of lending standards around real estate. And of course, continuing challenges around qualification with higher interest rates. I think that you will begin to see the imposition of higher median scores around revolving credit facilities, say credit card, and consumer debt. So yeah, money's going to get tighter. Money's going to get tighter.